Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And today, something special is getting ready to happen. Post-pandemic, this is going to be a very significant day in America's financial health. The Fed chair is going to announce today, may announce today, that they're going to cut interest rates at the Fed. And it's speculated that the cut in the rate will be 25 to 50 basis points. So in other words, if bringing it down by a quarter of 1% or 1/2 of 1%. This is going to be the first reduction in interest rate since they increased the rate to combat inflation. I mean, the economy was overheated. And so the Fed pulled that lever to see if we can slow things down so that we can get back down to a regular to increase inflation to 2%. So they're just about there, and they're ready to start reducing the interest rates before we fall into a recession. So everybody, all the financial experts are using this term, soft landing. Now, I'm only going to be here for a few minutes today. So you want to jump right into this thing. Now, the reason why this is so important, and everybody's talking about it, is because all the financial experts look at interest rates one way. The higher the interest rates, bad. And they say it increases the cost of borrowing money. And the lower the interest rates, the better, because it decreases the cost of borrowing money. And all the experts are saying the exact same thing. I'm here to tell you something different today. And that something different has to do with the fact that since 1936, where we had the first self-amortizing mortgage, practically no information has been taught about how this thing actually works. And so for our first show this season, season 4, we're going to bring up some experts in the area and let's see what they're talking about. And we're going to contrast that with what the P.I.L.L method teaches. So if you're ready to get started, all right, if you're ready to hear what we've got today, I'm ready to go ahead and start teaching. But I'm not going to be here long. So get all your friends in here as soon as possible so that we can get going. All righty, let's start. Hello and good morning. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And this is P.I.L.L Method Live. And today, folks, we're going to be talking about, I'm putting this on the screen right now. I can't play anything from this. So I'm putting it on the screen, okay? And what you're seeing here is the podcast Planet Money. It's on NPR. And they talk about everything under the sun imaginable about money. And yesterday's show was about how understanding what the Fed is getting ready to do today. And Chairman Powell is getting ready to make an announcement, and they may announce, there's no guarantee, they may announce a reduction in interest rates today at 1 p.m. Central, that's 2 p.m. Eastern time. They may announce that what the interest rate cut will be. And all the experts are vying between, will it be 25 basis points or 1/4 of 1%, or 50 basis points or 1/2 of 1%? What's going to happen when they lower that interest rate, if they do that? And what ripple effects will that have in the mortgage industry? So I have the transcript from that, because I can't play it on air because we're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, and I can't stream copyrighted material. But I do have the transcript from that show, and we're going to look at some of the points in that transcript for the next little bit and see if we can show what is happening there in a way that we can understand what's really going on behind the scenes. So I'm going to scroll down here, and we're going to get to, let me see here. Let me pull up the link to this show. And I'm going to put the link to this particular show in the chat for you guys so that you can listen to it on your own. All right, so we're going to put that in the chat here so you can have that. There it is. There it is. That's the name of the show. All right. And it's called Planet Money. Okay. Let me see if I can copy this link here. Copy the link and put the link in there. There we go. There you go. So now you have the name of the show and you've got the link. No, that is the email address. That's the email address. Oh, we need that as well. What I need you all to do, I put the email address in early, but what I need you to do is click on the link and send this in. I'd like to get a letter writing campaign. Just send the name of this show, to Planet Money. They need to know what I'm getting ready to show you today, because common knowledge, the best practices about how all of these loans work and what we should be focused on, I'm going to show that we should be focused in a different area instead of where all the experts are trying to point us. Okay. So let me see here if I can copy this link. This is the link to the show. Copy the link. All right. This is the link to the show so that you can listen to it yourself. There we go. That's the link to the show. And then Planet Money at npr.org is their email address. All right. So everybody that's watching me online, let me go ahead and put that in the comment section. And here is NPR's email address. Copy the link there. All right. Pull up the comments and paste it in there. Okay. That's their email address. And here is the link to this show. There we are. And paste that. That's the link to the show. All right. So we want to send this out to everybody at NPR, especially to Planet Money. Now, let me pull up. There we go. Here, I've got on the screen now the transcript of that show. And I have some things highlighted here. And we're going to talk about what's really happening behind the scenes. So first thing that they talk about in this show, ladies and gentlemen, is the interest rate that this particular person that they're interviewing has. And they call it a super low interest rate, 2.625. 2.625. And the reason why they believe that's a problem is because they think they're stuck in their home, because to get a home now, to get a different home, they would have to pay a higher interest rate. So this person says, oh my God, it says, yeah, Brenda is locked in to a 2.625 back in 2021. So that's when they got this interest rate, 2.625 back in 2021. And they had a 2-bedroom house. And now, with the fact that they have more kids now, there are 5 people and a big dog living in this very small house with 1 bathroom. They would like to move and get a different house, but they don't want to trade in their what's called a great interest rate, because the interest rate is 2.625 to something that's more like 6.5. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, for everybody that's listening to this. Stop believing that the best interest rates are the lowest ones. It is not about the interest rate. It never has been about the interest rate. Let me show you what's going on when people take a look at a 2.625 interest rate. Let me put that on the screen for you and show you what that really means. Okay? 6.625 really means this. So if I have 2.625, all right, and I'm putting in, they're in California, so it's got to be at least $500,000, right? Okay, so we'll put that in there, 2.625, and we're going to calculate that. And I want to show you something. Here's how much interest at 2.625. Here's how much interest the bank wants on a $500,000 loan. $222,970. My question to you is $222,000, almost $223,000, is that 2.625% of 500,000? Absolutely not. Look at this. This is approaching half. $250,000 would be half of 500,000. So by the time they pay this back, it's going to be 722,000. Folks, it is not 2.625% of the entire balance. It is, they charge that every year on the unpaid balance. Let me show you what's really happening here on this. So I'm going to bring up a calculator and put that on the screen. So every point that's brought up in this broadcast, we're going to show you the truth about this. If you're on Clubhouse, okay, then what you want to do is go to that link so that you can see on YouTube. I put a link in. If you want to watch it on Facebook, you can go there. Just search for P.I.L.L method and you'll be able to see it. Okay. So let me show you something for the first year. Okay. For the first year, the total interest cost is $12,991.99. Let me show you what's really going on. So if we put in 500,000, okay, 500,000, and multiply it by 2.625, okay, 2.625, we hit the percent key, okay, equals a total of 13, that's for the entire year, 13,125. So what's going on here? It's not 13,125, it's 12,991.99. So it's less than that. How is that? Because every month, a little bit of money goes to the principal. $914 goes to principal, $1,000 goes to interest out of their payment. So they take 1/12 of the interest rate and multiply it by the unpaid balance every single month. And so the first month, they get $1,093.75 because they take that 1/12 of the interest rate and multiply it by $500,000. The next month, after they apply $914.50 to the balance, they have $499,085.50. So to prove it, here's what I love about our show. We're going to prove to you each and every step of the way. Okay. So we're going to prove to you these numbers. So we're going to take 2.625. All right. And then we're going to divide that by 12. This is what we get. 0.002185. And they multiply this number by the new principal balance of $499,085.50. So let's do that. Let's multiply that by 499,085.50. It equals $1,091.749. And because this number is a 9, it's 5 or better. We round this number up to 5. So it's $1,091.75. Let's take a look at our amortization schedule. That's exactly what we have on line 2. So every single month, they're reducing the balance. So every single month, they have to multiply it by 1/12 of the interest rate. This is why it doesn't come up to $13,000 plus, but $12,991.99 for the entire year. Because as you can see here, each interest payment is a little bit less. Starts out at $1,093.75, then $1,091.75, then $1,089.74, and they add up all these interest payments, and it comes to $12,991.99. So we don't have one mortgage here. We've just proved to you that this is 360 separate mortgages. That's why it's so doggone expensive. Not one mortgage, but each month I make a payment, I get a brand new mortgage amount to multiply my interest rate by the unpaid balance every single month. Man, have you ever been taught that before? Did you know that your mortgage, they're charging you 360 separate times? And each time we get charged, it is a huge amount of interest each time, and only a small amount of our payment. Our payment on this is $2,008.25 each month. But when we start out, look here, $914.50 gets applied to principal. The next month, it's $2 more, $916.50. So you're out of your $2,000, less than half of that money is going to pay down the loan. The rest is discounted and it gets applied to interest payments. So, number one, we need to stop focusing on interest rate and focus on interest cost. How much does it cost me to manage this loan? And right now I'm showing you that the cost is huge. I don't care what the interest rate is, it's always a high interest cost. So when we take a look at the 2.625, we take a look at when we get our mortgage papers before we close, here's what we're going to find out. They call it the TIP, total interest paid as a percentage of principal. If we allow the mortgage companies and the bank to charge us 360 times, even at 2.625, we're going to pay back 44.594% of what we borrowed. 44.5%. That's what you're really paying. 2.625 for 30 years, if you keep the loan for 30 years. And later on in the show, they talk about that you can have this interest rate for decades. Now, who wants to pay 44% interest on the mortgage? Anybody here that's listening to this show, do you want to pay 44% interest? Nobody does. But when I hear 2.625 as opposed to 7, I think I'm getting a deal because no one ever taught me how to do the math. All right. So that's number one. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next point. Okay. So, however, if they were to take out a mortgage right now, all right, rates are an average of 6.5%. So more than double what she's currently paying in interest every month. Let's test that out. Let's test that out. So we're going to take the same amount. We're going to take the same amount, and then we're going to multiply it by. We're going to do 6.5% interest rate, and then we're going to, let me see here. Let's take a look and bring this back. Okay, the actual amount, let's see, the actual amount of interest paid is eye-opening. It is. It is. Richard Pierce, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay. Anybody who wants to come to the stage, just raise your hand and we'll talk about it. All right. So here's what I need you to see also. Let's test what they say, that all the experts at NPR, how they're looking at this. Okay. What are they saying about this? What are they saying is that 6.5%, they're assuming that we're going to be paying twice as much. Let's take a look. Let's test that. And we're going to compare the 500,000. Okay, we're going to duplicate this tab. We're going to put in 500,000. We're going to change the interest rate to 6.5%. There we go. And I'm going to show you the difference. Not only that, but I'm going to show you that you're better off at the 6.5% than you were. If you can afford the payment, don't wait to get your mortgage. Don't wait to buy your house. Don't wait. Get it now. I'm going to show you how you can manipulate the interest cost on these loans so that you don't have to depend on a lower rate to lower the cost of borrowing. You need to be able to control the interest cost to lower the cost of borrowing. Let me show you how that's done. So let's understand how an amortization schedule works. And since 1936, no one has really taught how this works, because in 1936 was the first self-amortizing mortgage. It was a 20-year loan. Okay. And we're going in this season of P.I.L.L Method Live, we're going to start that next week, where we're going to dig down deep into the total history of why we have this system of borrowing, why it is so expensive, and who benefits from it, and why they want to keep it this way. We're going to dig deep into that so you can understand what's going on, and why you have never been taught that you should be able to pay off this mortgage in about 7 years instead of 30 years. Pay it off in 7 years instead of 30 years. Listen, folks, this is amazing. Let me show you what's happening with this loan. And most people don't know this. Right now, at the 2.625, the really great interest rate, $914.50 goes to principal, $1,093.75 goes to interest. I'm going to show you what happens when you prepay a loan. All right. I'm not telling you how my program works. I'm just showing you how easy it is to get rid of payments and to get rid of interest cost. All right. So when you're seeing here is the next, the next principal payment is $916.50. So if we start out this thing in January, the next principal payment, it would be in February, $916.50. Well, guess what? You don't have to wait till February. If you had it, you can give the bank that money anytime you want. All right. I'm just saying if you had it, I'm just showing you. I'm not saying this is what you should do. I'm just saying here's what would happen if you did do this. You could prepay the 916.50. When you do that, you're giving that money to the bank in the same month. So in the first month, they subtract from what you owe, $914.50. You're brought down to the principal balance on line one. You give them the $916.50 early before the next payment. That's why they call it a prepayment. You're paid down to line two immediately. And then the bank uses 1/12 of the interest rate to multiply by the 498,169, and it gives you the information on line three. So by paying $916.50 early, you get rid of line two, not the total payment of $2,008.25. But for only $916.50 paid early, you can get rid of line two on this amortization schedule and save $1,091.75 in interest you never have to pay. So you just lowered your interest cost on this loan by over $1,000 with that one simple move. Now, let's see if we can amplify that just a little bit. In the first year, when you add up all the principal amounts, okay, for the first year, it comes to $11,107 and a penny. $11,107 and a penny. That's how much goes towards principal in 1 year. How much goes to interest? $12,991.99 out of all the money you pay. If you want to see this, go to YouTube or Facebook and you can see these numbers, okay? All right. Now, I'm talking to people who are on listening to us on an audio app, Clubhouse. So go in so you can see this. This is very important. Here's what I want to show you. Do you have to pay this $11,107 and a penny in 12 monthly installments? Do you have to do that in 12 monthly installments? No, you do not. I'm not telling you this is what you should do. I'm just telling you what would happen if you did do it. If you paid this $11,107 and a penny all at one time, you would be paid down to line 12 in 1 month. Okay? You would go from $500,000 to $488,892.99 in 1 month, which means you skip all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12. Okay? By prepaying the $11,000, and they're charging you that because your principal payments are over $900 each month because the interest rate is at 2.625. Let me stop right here. And let me tell you, when you control the principal payment, you control this loan. When you control the principal payment, you control the loan. And interest payments you skip don't matter. Remember that. Let's stop listening to, you got to stop listening to what has been taught forever and look at what really needs to be taught on how amortization actually works. Stop waiting for interest rates to go down and you start controlling how much interest you pay on your loans. You are in great control of that. So let's take a look at what happens if I do that. I can pay this loan down to right here, not for $12,991.99, but I could pay it down for $1,093.75, the interest cost on line one, which means that saves me a total of $11,920.49 if I give them the $11,000 up front. Okay? That is important. I'm not telling you this is what you should be doing. I'm telling you this is what you could do if you had it. Now, why is that important? Let's go to what they said is that would be double the payment if it was at 6.5%. 500,000 at 6.5%. Look, the payment is $3,060.34 as opposed to, okay, $2,008.25. So let's do a little math. Okay, we're going to do a little math. I'm going to put that on the screen. 3160 is our new payment at 6.5%. Okay, 0.34. And we are going to subtract the old payment at with the interest rate would be 2.625. Okay, and we're going to subtract 2,008.25 equals 1152. It's 1152 more, not twice as much more. It's 1,152. It's a dime. That's still significant. Yes, it is. So if you can afford it, I'm just saying, if you can afford the payment, you're better off at going and get your house now where the interest rates are higher, and don't wait for the interest rates to get lower. All right. And here's why. Let's take a look at how the payment is structured. Remember, your principal payment was $914. And remember the rule: control the principal payment and you control the loan. Interest rate. Look at this. Look at the principal payment now. At 6.5%, your principal payment is $452 and a penny. $452 and a penny, as opposed to $900. So watch this. If I want to get rid of, look at these huge interest payments. Wow, $2,700. That's what's happening here. So let me show you. If I prepay $454.46, I wipe out line 2, and $2,700 worth of interest is gone. I never have to pay. If I'm looking at this now, if I add up all my principal payments for a year, look at this. It's $5,588.65 as opposed to $11,107.01. Why do all the experts talk about getting the lower interest rates? And what are they talking about when they're saying that the interest rates being low are better than the interest rates being high? You're going to pay more interest. And here's what they mean by this, and listen to me closely. If you keep both loans for 30 years, of course, the lower interest rate is better if you want to keep your loan for 30 years. So this came from California. Okay, this is California. And I happen to know that there are people who are driving cars in California that cost $500,000. And if you borrow the money to purchase that car, you have to have it paid off in 7 years or less. They're only going to give you 84 months, folks. That's as much as you're going to get. Here's what I need to tell you. You can't get a 30-year loan on a $500,000 car, but you can get a 30-year loan on a $500,000 house. Why can't we pay off our house like we would pay off that Mercedes Maybach or the Rolls Royce? How can we pay that off in 7 years, but we can't pay the house off in 7? We got to go to 30. You see, today, this year, with the P.I.L.L. Method Live, we're going to start breaking down why that is and why it's been kept that way since 1936. Okay? So let's take a look at this. Now, remember when we prepaid $11,000 and knocked off 1 year at 2.625? Look at the principal payment here. I could knock off $2,700 worth of interest, and all I have to prepay is $454 now. The entire amount of principal for the first year is $5,588.65. I need you to see that if I do it the bank's way, I will pay $32,000 in interest to pay down the loan by $5,588. This is what the experts are looking at. But what they are not looking at is that if you could prepay this, you kill all of this interest. For $5,588 prepaid, you can knock out a year's worth of payments and all the interest between line 2 and line 12. That is a savings of $29,654.77 because the interest that you would pay to do this is only on line 1, $2,700. $2,700 as opposed to $3,200 if you give the bank this money up front. Let's go back to the 2.625, where if we prepay $11,000, it knocks out 1 year. Let's go back to the 6.5% and prepay $11,000. Look what it does. It knocks off almost 2 years worth of payments and saves over $60,000 in interest you don't have to pay. Remember what I said. Control the principal payment and you control this loan. Interest payments I skip don't matter. I don't care what the interest payments are if I can skip them. I want to skip them. Don't you want to skip them? Listen, folks, this is amazing. So what are all the experts are saying this because no one really has stopped to do the math. All the information is the same from everybody. And this is why even the people who are teaching this teach it this way. Real estate investors learn it this way. Okay. When you have somebody come to your organization or your church, or all the books that are currently written are written with this type of information so that you will focus on your interest rate instead of controlling your interest cost. Let's see what else they have to say in this show. So we just showed that the 6.5 may not be as bad as you want it to be because you can control the interest. You can control your interest cost. So folks, let me tell you, don't wait. Get your house now, because if the interest rates drop too far, there's still not enough houses, and the competition for the houses will be great, and the cost of the houses that you want will increase because there's going to be increased competition for the house. Doesn't matter what the interest rate is if you can't get a house. So get your house now. If you can afford the payment, get it now. Okay? Now let's go down here. So it says that would be thousands, literally thousands more at current interest rates. Yes, that is true if you pay every single payment on time. 360 months worth. Who wants that? When it is easy to cut off the interest cost. So what else do they say here? They call this, look at this. And so they're stuck with what many people call golden handcuffs. Golden because this is a good problem. The 2.625 is good, but it's still a problem because now they own the house. They have the house at the historically good mortgage rate. The low rate, and they're linking the low rate and the word good. It shouldn't be that way. What you should want to do is find out the right rate for you so that when you start attacking this loan with the principal payments, you can cut off payments and you can cut off interest because that's the kind of money you make. You want the right interest rate for you, not the lowest interest rate. I'm telling you right now, that the lower the interest rate, the harder it is to pay the loan off early and to save money. Lower the rate and you make it harder to prepay. I'm just saying. Okay? Because that's how amortization works. Let's see why they call it golden handcuffs. Because the house that these people are living in is too small. Now golden handcuffs is clearly the most fun way to talk about people who have such amazing mortgages. See, 2.625, amazing mortgage that they don't want to move. But there is a more technical phrase for this situation known as being locked in. They're locked into their low rate because they don't want to give up their low rate because of how it feels to get a higher rate. People don't know what the benefits are in getting the higher rate. These folks are in a house that's under 1,000 square feet. When they started out, they had one child. Now they have 3 children and a dog in a house that's less than 1,000 square feet, and there's only one bathroom. There's a teenager in the house now, and they feel as if they can't get another house because they don't want to give up their amazing interest rate. Can you imagine that? And some years later, guess what? I bet they're making even more money now than they were making before. I bet they could go out and get a great house that would be large enough for their family, even if they had to pay 6.5%, if they knew what you all are learning now, how to pay less interest, even at the higher rate. Okay. They feel like they're locked in. Not only, so nobody wants to get that higher rate because higher rates are bad. They're linking higher rate with bad, linking lower rate with good. So here's another person who is an economist. Okay. Y2. Okay. What are you saying here, Y2? It's crazy how much money we throw away in interest. That is correct. You're right. You're so right. We throw away. Now, here's an economist with a 2.1% rate on a 15-year fixed. Okay. Let's talk about that next. 2.1 on a 15-year fixed. Okay. Now, let me show you what she's doing here. Let's go and put in the same loan. Okay. Duplicate the tab. And I'm going to show you what's really happening when you lower the term now. Lowering the term makes it worse. Never get a 15-year loan. And here's why. And this is an economist. Okay. So now we're going to take a look at this $500,000 loan. Okay. We're going to change it to 180 months. And we're going to do it at 2.1%. 2.1%. Okay, because they got a really good rate, 2.1%, ladies and gentlemen, 2.1. Let me see what the payment is here. Okay, $500,000. It's $3,240.62. $500,000 at 2.1. The payment is $32.40.62. That's on a 15-year fixed. Can I show you something that's very interesting that no one has ever showed you? Not even the people at NPR on Planet Money. And please send this to Planet Money. Send this link to them so that they can see it. I gave you the email address to Planet Money. I gave you the link to this show that we're recording right now. Send this to Planet Money, would you please? Because here's what we need to look at. 180 payments. Your payment is larger. Let me show you. We're going to duplicate this tab now, put in the same loan at 360 payments. And I'm going to show you something very, very interesting that the folks at NPR don't know yet. Here's the payment for 30 years, $1,873.20. The first thing I want to say is you don't need permission to get a 15-year mortgage. You don't. Okay. Just like I did here on Brett Whistle, I'm using an online amortization calculator called Brett Whistle, BRET, WHIS as in Sam, S as in Sam, EL. Anybody can use it. I'm just using this as a teaching tool. This is not my program. I'm giving this information away for free. I'm not selling anything. All right. So here's what we're talking about. 1873 is the payment, 360 months. Okay. Why get a 15-year mortgage when I could get this mortgage for 30 years? And if I wanted to, I can make the 15-year payment, 32, 40, 62. There's nothing keeping you from making this payment. You just figure out what the payment would be. But right now, what I'm really locked into, if I get a 15-year mortgage, I'm locked into this payment no matter what. But if I get this mortgage, I can make the same payment, couldn't I? And it still would be a 15-year mortgage, but I'm using a 30-year amortization to give me my 15-year mortgage. Okay? If I had more time, I could actually show you that by making your 15-year payment on a 30-year mortgage, you're actually saving a little bit more interest doing it this way than if you had the 15-year mortgage making that payment. Okay? I wish I had time to do all that math, but I don't. Okay? But just understand this. Here's the good part. Here's the good part. I want you to see this. At 2.1%, at 2.1%, okay? Let me get rid of some of this advertising. I want you to see the first interest payment is $875. $875 at 2.1% on a 15-year fixed. Your principal payment is $2365.62, and your interest payment is $875. The amount of interest that you're going to pay on this loan in the first year is $10,225.71, because that's all the interest payments added up. Now, remember, what was the first interest payment on a 15-year mortgage is $875. What is the first interest payment at 2.1% on $500,000 on a 30-year mortgage? $875. It's exactly the same to the penny. Why stress yourself with this huge payment when your interest payment is exactly the same? It's exactly the same. I want you to see what would happen. Take a look at the entire interest amount on the 15-year fixed for the first year. $10,225.17. $10,225.17. How much interest are we going to pay on this loan in the first year on a 30-year fixed at 2.1%? $10,225? Oh, $10,384. It's not that much more, ladies and gentlemen. It's practically the same amount. Why stress yourself with a huge payment like this? Okay, $3160. I'm sorry. Look at this. Look at this. The payment here is $1873 versus $3240. Oh my gosh, why would I do that? I don't want to do that. When you lower the term, you also make it harder to pay the loan off early. Lowering the rate and lowering the term hurts you. Don't do it. Don't do it at all. Let me take a look and see if I have any. Karen wants to come to the stage. Let me bring you up, Karen, and see if you have a question or a comment. So Karen, I'm trying to bring you up. You raised your hand. Anybody else? Now's the time to come. If you're in Clubhouse and you want to come up and ask a question, please come up now. All right. Karen, I'm sorry I didn't see you before. So, all right. Anybody else that wants to come up, come on up now. So, what is the next thing that they talked about on NPR? Does this make sense to you guys? This, if you're watching this online, if this makes sense to you, if you put something in the comment section, just say yes or no. If this is making sense, put yes. If it doesn't make, if it says, well, down, no, it doesn't make sense to me, put no in. Okay. Am I explaining it to the point where what we're being taught across the board, we're being taught to actually pay more money in interest by doing what's called the right thing? If we do the right thing, what is commonly believed to be best practices, we will actually end up paying more interest, not less. So if I can get rid of 1 year on this loan, okay, I can get rid of 1 year on this loan at 2.1. It's a 2.1 interest rate, okay, and if I have it at 180 months or 15 years, look what happens. I would have to prepay $28,000 to get rid of 1 year. On this loan, all I have to do is prepay $12,000 to get rid of 1 year. Okay. So what does this mean? What am I really saying here? I'm saying that if I have more options and my dollar goes farther at a higher interest rate in eliminating the loan, my dollar goes farther at the higher term when I attack this loan. Okay. Both loans on my program would pay off in about 7 years. But why get the 15 year when I can get a 30 to do the same thing? And I heard on CNBC the other day that they're even thinking about going to 40-year mortgages. Oh man, I wish we could get a 40-year mortgage. Can I show you something interesting about a 40-year mortgage at 2.1%? Watch this. I'm going to duplicate this tab again. All right. It's at 2.1%. Okay. We're going to put on 480 months. 480 months. That's a 40-year mortgage. Okay. The payment now is 1540.57. Okay. But look at the very first interest payment. It's still 875, even on the 40-year. Look at the amount of interest that I pay in the first year. 10,422, 10,384, 10,225. I would much rather have a 40-year mortgage and pay it off in 7. It makes it a lot easier for me. Okay. So don't buy down the rate. Don't do anything like that. Don't let other people buy down your rate. Get your house now. Don't wait till the interest rates come down. All right. What else do we have from this show? What else do we have from the show? Okay. 2.1%, 15 year. So they're kind of locked in. Okay. So it goes on to say, Julia is a professor of finance at the University of Illinois. And she says there are so many people locked in, or I guess happily locked in part because of what's happening with mortgage rates over the last 40 years. Since the 1980s, rates have been generally dropping and dropping and dropping. Can I show you what was happening 40 years? Over the past 40 years, they talked about in the 80s. Can I show you what was happening in the 80s? Okay, so I put this into an AI system called Perplexity. Here's the link. Let's bring this up. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, I'm not logged in. Doggone it, I forgot. All right, let me go ahead and log in here so that I can show you what I need to show you, because this is very, very interesting. All right. Let's see. Okay. Email. All right. I'm still here. I'm just typing. All right. There we go. All right. And then I have to enter the code. All right. There is the code. Copy the code. And let's put that in. There it is. All right. So let me see if I can now bring up this thread here. All right, good. Let's bring it back. All right. Let me show you what was going on here. Now they're talking about the bad old times, the bad old times. All right. Look at this. This shows that in right here, October 2, 1981, the interest rate was 18.3%. 18%. 18%. Okay. So I also asked, all right, let me see here. The median home price was about $70,000. Okay. The median home price was about $70,000 at 18%. This was the bad old days. Okay. Where they talk about the interest rates were high. All right. And that was killing the people. Well, let's see. We're going to put in $70,000. Okay. We're going to get rid of some of these. Okay. Because I don't need all of these open. Okay. Get rid of some of these links. Okay. There we go. And we're going to put in $70,000 at 18%. A whopping 18%. Okay. Look at that for 30 years. And we're going to see what's going on with that. All right. 70% at 18%. Your payment is $1,054.96. People were buying houses in the 80s, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, even in October, when the interest rate hit at a whopping 18%. Let me show you how this loan breaks down in an amortization calculator. And I hope you see what I see. This is what was going on with this loan. Remember, control the principal payment and you control this loan. Interest payments you skip don't matter. Do you see? If you want to see this, you need to be on YouTube or Facebook right now. Just go to P.I.L.L method. The link is actually in the chat. Oh my gosh. But you need to see this. Look at these principal payments. $4.96, $5.03, $5.11. Look at these interest payments. $1,050. Can I show you this? If I prepay $5.03, Lord have mercy. If I prepay $5.03, I kill this line on this amortization schedule. I save $1,049.93 in interest I don't have to pay. And that's at the 18% interest rate on a 30-year fixed. Give me the 30-year fix. I'm not saying go out and try to get an 18% loan. I'm just saying don't let the experts continue to tell you that the higher interest rates bad, lowest interest rates automatically good. That's not true anymore because you now have the education to show you that you can control how much interest you pay on your loans. So if we look at how much principal I would pay for a year, it comes to $64.67. If I prepay that on line 1, I'm paid down to line 12 in 1 month with $64.67 on top of my regular mortgage payment. Okay, I make my regular mortgage payment and I give them $64.67 on top of that. I'm paid down to here in 1 month. How much interest did it cost me to get here? $1,000 or $1,050, not $12,594.85. And what did I prepay? $64.67. This was back in the 80s. And the people who paid off their mortgages back in the 80s didn't understand why they made so much progress with so little money prepaid. No one was there to tell them. And now you can see for yourself what is really going on here with these higher and lower interest rates. Folks, do you think, is this good information? Do you think everybody needs to know? Okay, put a number 9 in the chat if you believe everybody needs to know, and stop listening to all the financial experts that are saying high interest rates bad, low interest rates good, without actually knowing the truth of the matter. Okay, look at, see, people are putting 9s in right now. They're putting the 9s in. So please send this over to NPR, because the people at NPR are speaking the truth as they know it, because all the financial experts are saying the exact same thing, and they've been saying it for years. This is all they have. And this is what's being taught in their economic classes. This is what's being taught in their classes. So what else can they teach except what they've been taught? But I'm showing you the numbers here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm showing you the numbers. Everybody needs to know. For $64.67, I can knock off a year off this loan. I can make the first interest payment, the first mortgage payment on this loan, and give them $142 and knock off 2 years. I could give them $234 on top of the first mortgage payment and knock off 3 years. $345 prepaid on this loan on line 1 would knock off 4 years. Listen, I'm not even up to $500 yet. $477 prepaid in the first month on top of my regular payment at 18% would knock off 5 years off this loan and save over $60,000 in interest. Oh my gosh. What have we been teaching? What have we been learning? You only get this at the P.I.L.L method. Let's see what else they are saying in this article. Okay. So I got that from Perplexity. Okay. I use Chat GPT and I use Perplexity. But Perplexity had the best information there, and they had graphs and everything. Okay. That's why I chose this. But listen, folks, when you take a look at this thing, the average amount in 19 was about $70,000, and they say it kept dropping and dropping. Look here. This is down to, let's see here. This is July 11, 1980. The interest rate was 12%. In October, it went up to 18%, and it kept dropping. All right. And let me hear this last one. This is 1989, when the mortgage rate was 9%. Folks, people are losing their minds over 7%. I can't go anywhere because the interest rates are 7%. Do you see now why it is important for you to have somebody teach you about the math of how amortization actually works? And Don, how do you know this? How do you understand all of this? Because if the information is out there that everybody can get a hold of, why didn't you fall into that trap? Well, I did fall into that trap. But I'm going to tell you, I have autism spectrum disorder. When I finally saw an amortization schedule, I saw this. I didn't quite understand what I was looking at, but I see things in pictures and patterns. I'm not even a strong math person. But when I saw an amortization schedule and I saw how it breaks down like this, it became clear to me that we do not have to pay all of this interest. We can use our current budget and pay off all of our debt, not just the mortgage, but your mortgage, your student loans, your credit cards, in 7 to 9 years. All of your debt, because we're paying way too much interest because we don't understand how it works. So if you'd like to get a free savings report to know when you could be totally out of debt by using our system, go to ice10k.com. I'm gonna put it in the chat. ICE, ICE, the number 10, the letter K.com. All right. Send that over to you. You click on that. For everybody that's online, we're going to do the same thing. Okay. ICE, the number 10, the letter K.com. And you can get a free savings and earnings report. A free savings and earnings report. You can know the month, day, and year you can be debt free by understanding a system. We have an AI system that does all of the math and guides you with your current budget to debt freedom by understanding the benefit of canceling interest payments. By paying the bank at times, it makes it impossible for them to charge you interest out of your current budget. And you can still live well while you're doing it. You don't have to sacrifice lifestyle. I don't care what anybody says. You do not have to sacrifice lifestyle to save interest. You don't need more money to manage your debt. You just need to pay less interest. Okay, let's go back to the article. Okay, let's see what else we have highlighted here. So, to put some numbers to this, as of March, nearly 60% of borrowers had a locked-in rate at 4% or below. These folks are telling these folks that they're locked in at 4%. You can't go anywhere because who in their right minds would give up a 4% or less rate to get a higher rate of 6.5% or better? Who in their right minds would do that? Nobody wants to admit that I am actually better off getting my house now at 6.5% and leaving my 4% or my 2% mortgage in the dust, because I can save more money and get out of debt faster at my 6.5% than I can at my 2 or 4%. Let me get the house that my family needs now. Because right now, today, the announcement is coming. Everybody believes, everybody that is anybody in finance believes that Chairman Powell is going to announce a 25%, 25 basis points cut in the Fed rate. It will either be 25 basis points or 50 basis points. And once that happens, do you realize the mortgage companies and the banks are already pricing that in? The interest rates hit an all-time high just a little while ago of 8%. All right, in our generations, okay, and they're creeping down now to about 6.5% or better, maybe 6.3%. Maybe if we get a reduction in the Fed rate, okay. Here's what the experts are thinking. Can I share that with you? Here's what the experts are thinking. Once the interest rates hit 5.99, the floodgates will open. Folks will start getting more mortgages and then start getting refinances because they got locked into this 7% rate. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Let me see what else happens. So 6 out of every 10 borrowers are very locked in to their mortgage now because it's called golden handcuffs, ladies and gentlemen. I'm handcuffed to this good thing, but it's a bad thing because I can't buy a new house because I don't want to trade in my good rate. And nobody understands the interest cost of all of that. None of that. Okay. So let me see what else it says. And if they get a job somewhere else, or if they want to move nearer to family, well, Julia's research shows that people are often deciding, like, no, I have to stay put. Are you kidding me? They're giving up opportunities because they want to keep their low interest rate, which is actually hurting them when you do the math. No one is there to teach them. Please, please look in the chat, get NPR's email, and send them the link to this show so that people around the country and around the world can start hearing the truth about this, because the people at NPR get their education from everywhere else, but from the same place everybody else is getting it from. This is what's being commonly taught. So you can't blame them. This is what they're taught. So let's scroll down to the next thing here. So owners of large homes are staying put. Now that's going on it's going to make it harder for owners of smaller homes to upgrade. And that in turn is going to make it harder for the renters to then buy their home, their first home, because those are typically those smaller homes. So everybody's locked in. Okay. The people who have raised their families and have these larger homes, who may be looking to downsize, don't want to give up their good rate, so they're keeping that larger home. And the people who are in the smaller homes, they don't want to give up their interest rate so that they can put their larger family in a right-sized home. They can't do it because they don't want to go from 2% to 6.5%. Based on common knowledge, you can see why everything is at a standstill. Okay? So the point, let's see. So the point where people would get unlocked, watch this. That is where the difference between your rate and the current rate is a little lower, a little below 2% difference. Okay, that's what they're looking for. Then they're no longer locked in. Okay, so when the interest rates go from 7 to 5 or 5.5, they believe the floodgates were open and then people can start doing things. Watch this. So homeowners theoretically need rates to drop about 2% below their current rate. This is because it costs money to trade in a mortgage or either refinance or get a new mortgage. Let's talk about that right now in the last 15 minutes. I got 15 minutes left in this show. 15 minutes left in this show. And I call this refi fantasy. Okay. Let's go back. Okay. And let's see here. Let's put in our $500,000 again. Okay. Ooh, that's too much. $500,000. Okay. We're at 7%. Okay. And we got the I'm sorry. Okay. 2.625. Okay. That's our interest rate now. Okay. And we had this house, we got it, let's say we got it back in 2001 when we got this rate. All right. So if it's exactly in September 2001, and this being, I'm sorry, 2021 as opposed to 2024, 3 years ago. So we've been in this loan for 3 years. Let's see where we would be in 3 years. Okay. Let me show you some things that are crazy. So 1, 2, 3. We've been in this loan for 3 years. So we paid it down to here, $465,785.85. We paid this loan down by $34,000 at that interest rate, and we paid $38,000 in interest to do it. That's where we are. Interest rates are going to drop to, let's say, 5.5. So we're going to copy this number because this is where we are, 5.5. Okay. I'm sorry, we're at 2.625. There we are. Copy that. Put it in our new amortization schedule. Okay. Here's our number. Paste that in there. Let's get rid of this comma, okay, because it doesn't work in there. And our new interest rate, okay. I'm sorry, I did this all wrong. I did it all wrong. Let's go back. For the people who are locked in, all right, who bought a house at 7, okay? They bought a house at 7. Okay, there we go. And now they're waiting for things to happen. Okay, they bought the house at 7. They've been in for 3 years. They paid their loan down by $16,000, $16,365.09. And look how much interest they paid, $103,000 in interest. That's what's going on. Okay. And now they got a new lower rate, and now they're going to refinance. I call this refi fantasy. Okay. So we're going to compare. Here's our new amount. And we're going to get our 5.5% interest rate. Now, remember in the article, it says it's going to cost them something to refinance. Let's just make it easy. Let's just make it $10,000 to refinance. When they refinance, they generally roll the fee into the loan. So we've paid down to $465,785.85. Okay. So that would make it, if we add 10,000 to that, that would make it $475,785 at 5.5. Now, here's the thing. Most people who refinance get a brand new 30-year mortgage. Okay. These folks have paid down 3 years. So it just makes sense if they got a 27-year mortgage when they refinance. 27-year mortgage doesn't make it any better. I'm just telling you. I don't have time to do all of the math, but it doesn't. If you're refinancing here, it doesn't make all that much difference. Let me show you something that's going on here. Okay. Get rid of that. So our new payment would be here. As far as the payment goes, ladies and gentlemen, what gives you the lower payment, what is more productive, the driving force that lowers your payment is not the main driving force, is not the new interest rate. The new lower interest rate is dividing how much you owe by a new 360 payments. So if you're in this loan for 3 years and you refinance and get a new 30-year loan, that's a 33-year mortgage now. 9 out of 10 people will never pay off a mortgage because of refinancing. Never pay it off. 9 out of 10 people Okay, count them up. All right. So we go from, here's our payment at 7%. We go from 33.26 at 7 to 27.0146. Oh, a significant drop. We feel better. Okay. Now, here's what's going on with this new lower rate. I need you to show you something. At the higher rate, look at my principal payment starting out at 409, and 3 years in, I'm at 505. That's my principal payment. Remember what I said, control the principal payment and you control the loan. Control the principal payment and you control this loan. All right. Watch this. I get the refinance of my new mortgage payment, my new mortgage amount at 5.5%. Look at my principal payment. It's $520. $520. My principal payment, 36 months in, I'm down to 505. So if I wanted to prepay, it would take $505 to knock out this interest cost. Prepaid, $505.31. Whereas if I refinance, I start out at 520. I'm already behind the 8 ball, and I refinance to the lower interest rate. Remember that $10,000 we rolled in to this account to affect this to get this lower payment and to get out of the huge bad 7% loan and get down to the good everybody wants, the 5.5% loan. $10,000 is what I paid for it. And so here's what they're saying. You take the difference between the two payments. The first payment being, get rid of this advertising. Okay. The first payment being 3326.51. Okay. 3326.51. All right. And our new payment, which is 2701.46. Okay. So we subtract 2701.46 equals $625 less. So what they're saying is take your $625 reduction in payment, divide it into the $10,000. That tells you how long you have to stay in this loan to recoup your $10,000. Folks, that's exactly the wrong way to do it. Let me show you what happens. 625.05, okay? Okay, 625.05, 10,000 divided by 625.05 equals about 16 months. You need to be in the loan for 16 months before you recoup your $10,000, right? Watch this. Remember, this is my new loan. Okay. I added my $10,000. So I need to get back down to my $465,000 area. What, you know, the amount I had before I refinanced was at $465,785. Now I have a 5.5% loan and my payment is less and I feel better, but I need to pay it down to this. So I need to pay off the first $10,000 first. Does that make sense? I need to pay off that $10,000. So to pay off the $10,000, let me show you something here. In the first year, how much of the fee have we paid off in the first year? Only $6,400 of the fee. How much interest have we paid on that fee already? $26,000 in interest just on the fee, trying to get back to my original amount. My original amount of, where was I? 3 years in? Okay. 483. I need to, okay, what happened here? What did I do wrong? Okay, 7%. And I was 3 years in. Oh, I did the wrong number. I should be here. I went too far. I should be here 3 years in, 483. Let's do this over. I got enough time. I want to be accurate. Okay, let's copy this. 483. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this right. Paste it. Okay. All right, which would be 493. 493. Okay, at 5.5. There we go. Calculate. Okay, 2802. Okay, so our old payment, okay, 30, 32, 26.51. All right, and now we're going to look at our new payment, okay, at 2802.80. 2802.80 minus 2802.8 equals 423.71. We're going to take that 423.71, and we're going to divide that into our $10,000 because that's what it costs us to refinance. Okay, 10,000 divided by 423.71. And we'd have to stay in 23 months. So almost 2 years, 23 and a half months. Okay. So let's see how long it takes us to pay it down to that point. Okay. So we started out 3 years in. What is going on here? Okay, there we go. We started out at 7%, 3 years in at 483. Here is our new payment. Okay, 493, because we had to add the 10,000 in. Let's pay back the $10,000. In the first year, we pay back $6,600. It costs us $26,000 in interest. By the time we pay off the $10,000, ladies and gentlemen, it takes us 18 months. 18 months just to pay off the $10,000 to get back to the 483. But how much interest did we pay to get it? Everybody that refinances is doing this. Okay. It's going to cost me $40,000 in interest to get back to the original amount I had before I refinanced. When I add that to my principal amount, that is $50,000 it cost me for this refinance. That's the true cost of this thing, not the $10,000. It's the $50,000. So let me ask you, if you borrow $10,000 and you pay back $10,000 in interest, isn't that 100%? If you pay back $20,000 in interest on a $10,000 loan, is that 200%? If you pay back $30,000 interest on a $10,000 loan, isn't that 300%? But what if it's $40,000 interest on a $10,000 loan? Isn't that 400% and not 5.5%, where all the experts are saying you need to jump on this with both feet, get out of the 7, get into the 5, refinance your loan? When in fact, you are better off in saving money and saving interest at the 7%. If you can afford the payment, you can knock this thing out easier and save more money at 7% than you can at 5.5, and you could be done in about 7 years instead of 30. Folks, go ahead and contact us. I'm getting ready to get out of here. Thank you for your time and attention. Whew, my goodness. Watch this for yourself. Listen to it for yourself, and then contrast this with the video that we just recorded. You helped me, okay? So let me see if there's any other comments on here, okay? Thank you very much for the comments that you put on here today. All right. Can't we get the lower interest rate and still prepay on the principal? Wouldn't it save more interest? Actually, I just showed that no, it wouldn't. Keep the same interest, keep the same interest rate, and then prepay principal. You're going to be farther ahead, because when you refinance that thing, you're going to start out with a higher principal payment. And if you start out with a slightly higher principal payment, it doesn't do as much work for you. Okay, contact me. All right, I'll even give you our business number to contact me if you want to ask more questions. I'm putting it in the chat right now. 256-886-1867. Okay, that's my office number. I'll put it over here as well. Okay. 256 886 1867. Also, go to ice10k.com. I put that in earlier. ice10k.com. All right. And you can get a savings and earnings report for free. Thank you, everybody. I appreciated your time and attention today. Let me see if Jonathan Bing is in here. Jonathan, you going to get ready to take over, my brother? I see you, Daphne. All right, folks. I'm getting out of here.
The Mortgage Syndicate's Real Estate Cafe, where we discuss all things real estate. Please tap the greenhouse to follow the club. And don't forget to follow your moderators.
Mr. Don, how's it going, my friend?
It is going well, Jonathan. I really enjoy talking to your audience today.
This is your audience, Don.
Oh man, I had,
What's up? What's going on? What's going on, everyone? Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How you guys doing? So, Don,
yes, sir.
so you're telling them, hey, you know what? Why spend the money on the refi? Which is, I see your point. And if you're going to pay it down anyway and pay towards the principal anyway, correct?
Correct.
Because of the money that you spend on the costs associated with that refi, correct?
Exactly.
All right, makes sense, guys. Makes sense. Because I heard that last question, and so it makes all the sense in the world. Coming from a mortgage guy, guys. So 100%. I get it.
But listen, but there are benefits to refinancing. I also want to say this: if
Of
you're
course.
taking the cash out to invest or to buy an appreciating asset, I would do it every day of the week. I don't refi just to get the lower interest rate or just to lower my payment. I don't refi for those reasons. But if you want to cash out to invest or improve your home, there's a lot of good reasons to refi or get a HELOC, but not to lower the payment or just say I went from 7% down to 5.5%. Now I feel better. That is not a good reason. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
No problem. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Hey, guys, welcome to the Mortgage Syndicate, man, on this Wednesday morning. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys that's here. And guys, listen to me. Today is a big day. It's a huge day. The Fed meeting is happening today. And as a result of the Fed meeting, we're
All right, folks, we're getting out of here. Thank you very much for being here with me today. And let me get this where I need to be so we can do our outro. Thanks again. Send this out to Planet Money. And I hope they pay attention and get something out of this. Okay. All right. We'll see you now.